All right. Hello, everyone. My name, most of you probably know it, but just in case you don't, my name is Bernie Rydell from the Rotary Club of Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, and I serve as Zone 33 Regional Rotary Foundation Coordinator. And welcome to our monthly Zoom for the Foundation. This session is on our Foundation's endowment. A couple things before we get started. Please stay muted. Put your questions in the Q&A box. And this session, hopefully, I'm told, will be recorded. So Beth has asked me to do the welcome. However, if okay with you, Beth, I would really like to kick off this Zoom by sharing a story, my wife Nancy's and my story. Back in the day, when I was a district governor and then district Rotary Foundation chair, I got to meet and work with our major gift officer, Carl Davis. He would come to our Rotary meetings and talk about our endowment and making major gifts. And while visiting, I would also help arrange private meetings with potential donors. And we did this on a pretty regular basis. I think Carl just enjoyed coming to Hilton Head, actually. We even had meetings with Carl in our home, where I would invite, again, potential donors who were interested in learning more specifics on how they could give to our foundation. I think today we call them fireside chats. Well, after one of these meetings in our house, Carl stuck around and asked if we ever considered our Rotary legacy. I laughed. I said, no, not really. I said we were way too busy with our business, family, church, and of course, Rotary, specifically raising funds for the foundation. Well, he said, it just takes a little time to plan, and politely offered to help anytime. Now, fast forward to about 6 years ago, 2020. I was very active raising funds for the eradication of polio. And in a moment of stress, followed by deep reflection, it dawned on me that I was getting old. Yes, Lou, I was getting old. And that I probably couldn't do this forever. So it was time to call Carl. Well, he talked me off the ledge and started talking about what Nancy and I wanted to do for the future. Started talking about, yes, our legacy. For us, it was establishing a named endowed fund that would continue our commitment to the eradication of polio and then other global diseases long after, well, we left the world. And it would be funded by our estate. Still haven't told son Michael about that. But thanks to Carl, we finally had a plan. Well, that's our journey. It started a long time ago with our friendship with Carl Davis. So today, you will have the opportunity to learn more about our foundation's endowment and making major gifts from 4 of the very, very best. Endowment Major Gift Advisor Beth Trotter, Major Gift Officers Lori Menzel and John Teich, and future Endowment Major Gift Advisor Stephen Beer. And maybe, just maybe, start or continue some very valuable friendships. Now, over to our moderator for this session, Endowment Major Gift Advisor Beth Trotter. Take it away, Beth.
Thank you very much. I'm going to share my screen now, so I'm hoping that you're going to all see the presentation. Do you see it? Okay, great. Bernie, that was a terrific story, and I miss Carl Davis, but I sure am fortunate to be able to work with John and Lori, and I know everybody in our zones feel that way as well. But it is a wonderful personal story, and I really appreciate you sharing. So this evening, what we are going to do is talk a little bit about the uh, foundation in different categories, specifically the endowment, starting with that. I will be joined with our new incoming EMGA, Stephen Beer. You'll hear from him in a few minutes. And our Major Gift Officers Lori Menzel and John Teich. My review will be brief on the endowment, and then I'll touch on ways to increase giving both for the endowment and annual fund. Lori will briefly discuss the various ways gifts can be made, followed by John with an open discussion about good stewardship. So let's get started. And as some of you may recall, I began my role as your EMGA back in July of 2023. The EMGA role is a 3-year appointment to serve the 17 districts within Zone 33. And I've really enjoyed my duties as EMGA, especially getting to know many of you. Well, maybe not Lou. No, only kidding. Really glad to get to know so many of you. But it is time to pass the baton to another leader in our zone, Stephen Beer. Stephen joined the Rotary Club of Innsbruck in 1998 and became his club's president in 2007-8. For Rotary District 7600, he has served as a Rotary Foundation advocate, an area governor, and he's led the team that chartered the new Rotary Club of Short Pump. Stephen served as district governor in 2014-15. He's been the district Rotary Foundation chair, serving in 2019 through 22. Stephen also served as the general chair for the Chesapeake Pets, and I'm sure everybody on the call knows that's President-elect's training. And he's also Rotary Zone 33's Assistant Rotary Regional Foundation Coordinator. Wait, I got that backwards. I better learn that title because I believe I'm taking over for Stephen. We're kind of flip-flopping, right, Bernie? So I'll try it again. Assistant Regional Rotary Foundation Coordinator for 4 districts in North Carolina and Virginia. So Stephen will become Zone 33's Endowment and Major Gifts Advisor starting in July. Stephen's Rotary Service projects include travel to, and wait for all of this, Honduras, the Philippines, Germany, India, Ghana, and Kosovo. Stephen's a recipient of Rotary International's Service Above Self Award and also the Rotary Foundation's Citation for Meritorious Service. Congratulations, Stephen. Stephen and his wife, Beverly, have hosted group study exchange participants from Germany, Japan, the Philippines, United Kingdom, and Korea. And Stephen served as the GSE team leader to District 1850 in Lower Saxony, Germany. Stephen and Beverly have enjoyed Rotary friendship exchanges with Rotary friends in Germany and the Philippines. Stephen and Beverly have also hosted young people for Rotary Youth Exchange and the Rotary New Generations Exchange. They love staying connected with their former students from abroad. Stephen is a member of the Arch Clump Society and Bequest Society. Stephen and his wife Beverly live near Richmond, Virginia, and together they enjoy traveling, gardening, boating, and various forms of exercise. Stephen also loves to read books about history and economics. So it gives me great honor and it's a privilege to now introduce you to my upcoming replacement, Stephen. Stephen Beers, take it away.
Thank you, Beth. It's going to be an honor to serve as our next Endowment and Major Gifts Advisor for Zone 33. You asked if I could tell people about why I'm an avid supporter of the Rotary Foundation. I joined the Rotary Club of Innsbruck in 1998. My club's expectations were for each member to contribute at least $100 to the Rotary Foundation annual fund. My perception was the $100 was just a part of the club's dues, as I initially did not know anything about the foundation. Over time, I experienced and saw my club's local community service projects. I heard our club's foundation chair speak briefly about our foundation every few weeks, and each year heard a special speaker talk extensively during Foundation Month in November. This created my awareness of our foundation. Past Governor Randy Lickey, a member of our club, encouraged me to attend the district training assembly in 2003. There were speakers about international service projects. This motivated me to lead a project to collect surplus medical supplies from local hospitals and send them to Central American Rotary clubs for distribution. A few years later, I worked on a Rotary service project in Honduras. While there, a Rotarian gave me a tour of the local hospital. There I saw some of the medical equipment we collected in Richmond. This created a stronger affinity toward Rotary and the Rotary Foundation. My vision kept growing. The Innsbruck Rotary implemented a global grant to create the first pediatric cardiac care center in Honduras, and it was also the second one in Central America. As time progressed, I increased my support to the Rotary Foundation. After serving as my club's president and later as district governor, I learned so much more about our foundation. I became a major donor and bequest society member. It was heartwarming seeing the impact of the foundation's work and knowing the contributions were efficiently spent. I traveled to India with one of Nancy Barbie's groups to participate in a National Polio Immunization Day and visited several Rotary clubs to see their service projects. Rotary clubs in Virginia participated in many global grants to improve lives in Ghana. These grants provided clean water and sanitation, new schools, and economic development programs. I visited Ghana with a group led by Walter Hughes to witness our work. Over 1 million people have clean water because of these projects. It's incredible what Rotarians can accomplish. Right after visiting Ghana, I decided to become a member of the Arch Clump Society. Now you understand why I am a strong supporter of the Rotary Foundation. Now you might want to understand how this was done. As I learned more about the Rotary Foundation, I increased my giving. When I was club president, I became a charter member of the Paul Harris Society. Later, I made a major gift of $10,000 after I found out you can make a gift with roughly equal installments over 3 years. My family's investments had grown to the point that it was a good idea to take some of the investment money off the table and reduce risk. We needed more steady income because I only had a small pension. Creating a gift annuity with the Rotary Foundation seemed like a good idea. We could give to the foundation and secure our retirement. The gift annuity will give us tax-advantaged income until the second one of us passes. The gift annuity account will grow each year and leave a legacy to support Rotary Foundation projects into perpetuity. Rotary is my passion. I continue to support the foundation with gifts every year and encourage others to support Rotary financially and through leadership and participation in grant projects here and around the world. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Stephen. I really enjoyed hearing your story and especially knowing how you made your decision and what a generous thing it was to do. So thank you very much. I look forward to working with you and to you leading us as the MGA in Zone 33. So let's move on now. If I can do this, let's see. There we go. Well, let's talk about the foundation and giving gifts for today and the future. So we all know about Paul Harris, the founder of Rotary. We live his legacy more than 100 years later, empowered to change the world through ideas, action, and planning. There are many ways that we can make a lasting impact of our own. Our recurring support of the Rotary Foundation's annual fund makes an impact today. Big or small, a gift to the annual fund provides vital support to people who need our help now. Every year that we give, we do make a difference in our communities and around the world. Gifts to the endowment are nurtured to provide steady funding to our favorite Rotary programs, the same life-changing programs that we support with our annual gifts. But the endowment can also magnify the level of our support over the time. Think of it as planting the seeds to grow more apples, a lot more apples. We can make outright gifts to the endowment during our lifetime to see a gift in action as it helps improve lives and communities. But we can also make a gift to the endowment through a commitment such as a provision in our wills or other estate plans. A promise of a gift that will have a big impact on the future, but not on our current finances. By notifying Rotary of a commitment now, one can receive special recognition and help in personalizing their legacy to fit our own goals. And it's also easy to modify a commitment later if there's a need to change long-term plans. Commitments are a way to start to plan our legacy, and they're often made in estate planning through a will or codicil. By committing a fixed amount or a percentage of assets to the Rotary Foundation, we can use our resources to do good after we no longer need the resources. Deciding to leave a bequest to Rotary involves many considerations and could take some time. But it can be also easy to adjust these commitments later if our personal goals change or there's a need. And there's also no minimum amount or no age restrictions. We also have dedicated Rotary personnel to help you, staff on board at Rotary International and your MGOs. The naming the Rotary Foundation as a beneficiary of certain life insurance policies or retirement assets or bank and investment accounts can be an easy way to enhance our legacy without updating wills. This also simplifies matters for our loved ones. Insurance policies could be a good choice to fund charitable gifts for the future without impacting current financial and family circumstances, which may change over the years. Bequests and beneficiary designations have no effect on our current income, but they can provide long-term support for people in need. If you want more information, please reach out to me or your MGOs, Lori, John, or Tyler Stokesbury for the Pennsylvania districts. Whatever method works best for you and for your members in your clubs, please remind the members to include the Rotary Foundation's official legal name, which is the Rotary Foundation of Rotary International. And please let us know about theirs or your plans so that our supporters can be properly recognized for these gifts. You can notify the foundation of a commitment by completing a Your Rotary Legacy notification form, which is shown here, or online at rotary.org/yourlegacy. By notifying Rotary of intent, one can receive special recognition and help in personalizing their legacy to fit goals. When you make a promise of a future commitment to the endowment or an outright gift of $1,000 to the endowment, you'll be recognized as a benefactor. And we know that $1,000 or more of outright gift to the annual fund and certain grants allows for Paul Harris Fellow recognition, while immediate gifts to the endowment do not count towards Paul Harris Fellow attainment. Outright gifts made during our lifetime do count towards major donor and Arch Clump Society recognition. Membership in the Bequest Society is offered to anyone who makes a commitment to give $10,000 or more to the foundation. So members will receive special updates and invitations to events and an exclusive pin or pendant. Legacy Society recognition is offered to those who promise a gift of $1 million or more to the foundation. Within our zone, all Arch Clump Society and Legacy Society members receive a special invitation to our annual summit. This year, the summit will be held in Williamsburg, Virginia, where they will be recognized at a special reception. Now let's transition to ways to build awareness of the opportunities and increase giving within our own districts. The first tactic I'd like to discuss is for legacy gifts. This is a campaign designed to encourage those Rotarians who have already been committed as a benefactor, and remember that's a promise of $1,000, to consider increasing their commitment of a future gift to at least $10,000 and become Bequest Society members. So the first step would be for the district leaders, usually starting with the DRFC and the DG, and then perhaps the endowment fund or major gift chairs if you have those within your district, to agree on the parameters of the campaign. Then they would work with their respective MGOs, Lori, John, or Tyler, to obtain a report showing all active Rotarians in the district who are benefactors. Your MGO can help you create an outreach letter to be mailed from the key district letters, along with that brochure I showed you, the Your Rotary Legacy Forum. You would plan the follow-up, procedures, and recognition with your team and MGO. A similar approach could be used for the Paul Harris Society cultivation to Bequest and for a campaign to the current Bequest Society members, especially for level 1 bequests to encourage stepping up to level 2. A benefit of that level is the opportunity to create a named endowment of their own. I, along with Lori and John, sorry, I've lost my place. We'd be happy to help you create your own district or club campaign. For immediate tactics, I'd like to briefly touch on a campaign that's designed to increase the number of major donors within your district. As DRFC back in 2019, I worked with my own district governor at the time, Cam Chandon, who many of you probably know, to send a personalized email to the Rotarians in our district who had given between $7,500 and $9,999 to the Rotary Foundation. And believe it or not, we had some donors who were really close to that $9,999, but we're not yet at $10,000. So we used the donor total giving report and created a mail merge with a customized email, filling in each recipient's giving total and amount needed to attain major donor status. Of course, we also took the opportunity to thank them for their generous contributions already made to our foundation. Well, you can guess it, the campaign was very successful and created many new major donors within our district. If you'd like more specifics, please work with your district leadership and contact me for any assistance that you'd like with the campaign mechanics. Now, one final topic for me that I'd like to touch on again is Rotary's Promise Club. This is a Rotary club in which 100% of members have made commitments or outright gifts of $1,000 or more to the endowment. I'm very hopeful that we can have at least one club within our zone before the end of this Rotary year become a Rotary Promise Club. If you want to promote this option, we're available to assist you. And now it's time to hear from MGO Lori Menzel as she is going to talk about funding your gifts. Lori, turning it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you, Beth, for really covering the endowment well with the Bequest Society and giving in the future. And I'm not really going to cover that. Mostly what I'm going to cover right now is giving today, right? What are the ways that you can give today? Because I think if you want to finish your Rotary year strong, you still have quite a bit of time, right? We're just in the beginning of March. And so there are some different ways that maybe you can encourage Rotarians in your district to give to the Rotary Foundation. So next slide. One of the things that as MGOs we've really kind of focused on this year is how do we increase the awareness and the education of Rotarians of some of the different ways they can give, right? We talk a lot about writing a check or using your credit card online, Rotary Direct, those things that are really a terrific way to give. But sometimes Rotarians are looking for some more tax efficient ways to give. And so that's kind of been one of our uh, focuses this year, is to really see how can we get that information out to our donors. So no matter what level they're giving at, they have this information so that they can give. And one of the things I hope that you each will ask yourselves is, when you look at this list right here, because I took out some of the easy ones, right? Checks or credit cards, things like that. Are there any of the ways here, such as donor advised funds, stocks, qualified charitable distributions, are you giving that way? Because it's really powerful when you say to someone, hey, did you know that you can give to charity using appreciated assets? You know, that's what I just did. I just thought, okay, you know what? I've got this appreciated asset that, boy, if I were to cash it in, I am really going to get hammered on the taxes. And so what's a different way that I can use that asset? And that goes a long way when you're talking with your club members or any of the people on your team or any of the Rotarians in your district, is to really share that with them. It's really that peer to peer is so important when you're doing this type of fundraising. But I thought I would highlight these three as you're looking at your year-end plan of how is it you're going to get to your goals toward the end of this Rotary year, which we, like I said, we still have 4 good months left. So donor advised funds, more and more Rotarians either have opened a donor advised fund with the Rotary Foundation, or maybe they have one that they've opened up with another financial institution or, community foundation, or there are many ways to open a donor advised fund, but they are a great way to give to charity, because when you put money into a donor advised fund, maybe you use your appreciated asset, then you can receive those tax deductions as you put that money in. And then you have time to give to whatever you want to. Maybe you say, I'm going to give my $1,000 from my donor advised fund and I want to be a Paul Harris Society member. Or maybe you want to, like Stephen, he loves to work on global grants. Maybe you want to give a major gift to a global grant and you want to use that donor advised fund to do that. There's many different ways you can use your donor advised fund to do your charitable giving. Same with appreciated assets. I think more and more Rotarians, especially appreciated assets, when they find out that it's pretty simple process to go talk to their financial advisor and say, hey, this is the charitable giving that I would like to accomplish. How should I do it with my portfolio? And then they can say, well, you have these stocks that you've held more than a year, and so they are really appreciated, and they would be a great way to give that to charity to accomplish what you want to do. And so maybe they might think about doing that. Mutual funds, we ask you, especially mutual funds, to ask us first so we can check with our colleague to make sure that we can accept them. Usually we can, but it's not quite as simple as when you do a stock transfer. And then also when you reach that magical age of 70 and a half, and if you have a traditional IRA, you can do that qualified charitable distribution. It can be a great way to do your charitable giving, especially in light of the tax changes that just started on January 1st of 2026. And so this can be a great way. You can give up to $111,000 per person to a 501c3 charity from your qualified charitable distribution. And I have a lot of Rotarians that give this way, especially talking, as someone mentioned, a pledge. You can't use your donor advised funds to pay for pledge payments, but you can use stocks. You can use those qualified charitable distributions. So let's say we talked about different strategies. What if you want to look at major donors in your district, as Beth talked about, who are getting close, or maybe they're at that 10,000 or more threshold from their next major donor level? A pledge is a perfect way to get there, and they might want to use their qualified charitable distributions for their pledge payments each year. So there are some different ways that you can talk with Rotarians to increase the giving and the interest in the Rotary Foundation. And they are appreciative, most Rotarians are, of learning some of these different ways to give, because I know as Rotarians that you are extremely generous and not just to Rotary. So these ways to give can help you in all the charitable giving that you do. Now, the QR code takes you to our Ways to Give webpage. And if you scroll down on it, it gives you all kinds of information about the different ways you can give. It gives you links to forms, to all kinds of information there. And I hope you'll go check that out or share that. If you have a district newsletter or something, share this webpage with people as you encourage them to give to the Rotary Foundation. And of course, as Beth said, always reach out to her or to myself, to John or Tyler. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Lori, thank you so much. I really appreciate that information. And is there anywhere else we can find that QR code? Of course, we can.
I just created it, so I just made it for this. So
Okay.
I can, I'm trying to think if I can share it. I'll try and see if I can share it in the chat.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And now it's time to hear from our other major gift officer, John Teisch. John, welcome and thank you. And I'm going to stop screen sharing because I know John's going to talk about stewardship and facilitate this discussion. So, John, you're on.
Perfect. Thanks, Beth. Appreciate that. It's good to be with everybody, and I'm really excited to talk about stewardship because I think it is probably one of the most important things that we can do in our districts, in our clubs, to really show people say thank you and show them appreciation for their giving, but also really that impact piece, right? I think Stephen touched on it really well in his remarks. Seeing some of those global grant projects in action really helps people understand what the Rotary Foundation does and what people's dollars are doing, because that can sometimes be the disconnect, right? People are giving to the foundation and Rotary Direct. They hear all these other things and they're like, well, what is my dollars doing? Showing them what their dollars are doing is a great way of stewardship. And I kind of wanted to think about stewardship and just thinking about how many thank you touch points do we think a donor may get during their time when they make a gift? I was thinking about who they may hear from. You know, we always get our letter from Eric. I'm a Rotary Direct donor. So every month after my gift comes in, I see the thank you note from Eric and my tax thing at the bottom. If someone's giving to an area of focus and has an endowment, they're going to get a report from John Huco about what their gift is doing in those types of ways. What other staff emails are coming from Rotary that someone may get as a thank you? We send them their pins. We send them their crystals. That's a way of stewardship. But I still think sometimes that people don't think about that as they appreciate that as a thank you. But for some people, the most important thank you is coming from their club and coming from their district. And so I really wanted to kind of highlight and touch on some ideas of what are our districts doing? What are some things you could do to say thank you to our donors and things like that? So first and foremost, I just kind of wanted to ask. I just kind of went through some things that we do at Rotary to say thank you. The automatic. Lori and I both have things that if a donor's gift shows up on a report, we send a thank you note and things like that. So I was just curious for anyone on the call, do you know if your district has a stewardship plan or things you do outside of maybe our typical recognitions to say thank you to donors? So I'm going to throw that question out there. What are districts doing to have a stewardship plan to say thank you to donors that give to the foundation? All right. Anybody? I mean, I'll hear anything. I just want to see what there's something the districts are doing that maybe other people could benefit from.
John, I'll jump in. Annually we have a Rotary Foundation luncheon, which is actually coming up next month. And at that luncheon, we recognize anybody who has either become a major donor, moved up a level, or has become a Bequest Society member, or has become a Legacy Society member. So we try to recognize anybody that's made a significant contribution or additional contribution to the Rotary Foundation at that luncheon.
Perfect. Love that, Al. That's great. Lou.
We do something very similar at various training events and the district conference. But one of the things we have done traditionally with the Paul Harris Society, we reach out to our Paul Harris Society members every year to basically thank them and remind them, if they haven't signed up for Rotary Direct, that their contribution time is coming soon. And then we thank them each and every year for their contribution. And we've had folks who've done it for years and years, and they get to a certain point in their life and they say, well, I'm retired now. I don't have quite the money. And they basically apologize for not being able to give as much, and we thank them for what they've done. So the simple thank yous from the district folks, whether it be the DRC or the DG or the Paul Harris Society chair, it's key to getting people interested, staying interested, and continuing to give.
Great point, Lou. Thank you for highlighting that. Lisa.
Hi. So I'm in District 7710. I'm the DG. And years ago, when I was foundation chair for my club, I reached out to every member in my club individually, told them where they stood as far as their points level, and asked them to consider increasing that or to consider Paul Harris Society. And I had people that did it and then came back to me and said, I did it because you asked me. It wasn't a generic multi-email thing. It was a Lisa to Greg, hey, would you consider this? And this year, my emphasis as DG has been to embrace your passion. So we've done that through sharing stories. And I've shared the story with all my clubs of why the Rotary Foundation is my passion. And so I've been told over and over again that that really spoke to them versus, putting up the boring charts and all that stuff when you go as your official visit. So that was great. And lastly, my district conference is coming up. I'm very excited that we are having a special event. We have invited our governors, Governor Chain, College of Governors, but we've invited all of our major donors, Bequest Society, Arch Clump, for a special event the night before. I'm excited that Stephen Beer is going to be there with us. But my hope is that by doing this and thanking them and having this special event for them, we haven't done this in years. And so this might be an opportunity for them to go, yeah, I need to do something. So very excited. And if anybody would like to come, it's going to be on April 17th at the beach, Atlantic Beach, North Carolina. Shameless plug. That's all I got.
Thanks, Lisa. I appreciate that. Stephen, I see your hand up.
Yes, John. When I was the foundation chair for our district, when we had a new bequest society or major donor or somebody moved up to the next level, we would ask them how they would like to be recognized. And some people don't want to be recognized, and you need to respect that. They don't want the public recognition, but we would see if they would be recognized at their club meeting. Sometimes it was ideal to do it at a district event and try to have the right individual make perform the recognition to the individual. So it takes a little bit of effort, but it's really worth it.
That's great, Stephen. I really appreciate that. Those are a really good variety of things to highlight all of the stewardship we're doing, right? And I think there's a lot of different things. One, it's the consistency, right? If Al's district has done this for so many years, people know and remember this event. For Lou, it's that consistent touch point of saying thank you repeatedly and making sure it's a part of your district culture to thank somebody. For Lisa, trying a new event, trying to see if it's something you can do, if it's not something you've done before, right? I know some districts have done Paul Harris Society get-togethers, but haven't done major donors. So try something different with things like that. But also going beyond that, right? Making sure there's a plan and something you're there. And Stephen, the reports, right? Making sure you see when does someone become a major donor. Checking in with them and how they want to be recognized is such a subtle thing, but can be so important to someone. Because if you put someone up on a stage that doesn't want to be up on a stage, that just really throws them off. But showing that you care about how they want to be recognized is so important. And Stephen, I appreciate you bringing that up because that's super important to us at Rotary, that we really try to be personalized in all of that. Those are some great things. I'm really appreciative of all that. And I think one thing I want to touch on with that is a lot of this can be found in a lot of the reports that club and district leaders have access to. So utilize those reports. Be checking those regularly. Look at your major donor bequest society report. Has anybody joined recently? If someone just became a major donor, have they gotten their crystal? Have they seen the information about how to those kind of things? Those little things are important. And also just making sure that who's doing that in the district and someone has that role is great. But it's great to hear what's going on. And also thinking, hey, we've done an event. What can we add to this? Who's sending a thank you note from a district governor or our DRFC? Who's doing some of those things in our district and just creating a plan? I wanted to add one last little thought as Lori was talking today. I saw this on LinkedIn the other day, and it really kind of struck with me about what we're kind of talking about with RMDs and IRAs and things. And think of all the donors in your clubs or in your districts that have given you $1,000 every single year for 10, 15 years. Think of the stewardship that they've received and a thank you for their giving. And then all of a sudden they learn about this new asset or vehicle that they have more access to. And because of the great stewardship you give them over the time of their consistent giving, they now are going to be more interested to potentially make a larger gift because of that stewardship we provided them. So I always think about that, right? Sometimes I think in fundraising, we always get focused on the amount of gift, and it takes away our vision from someone's consistency and passion that sometime down the road, they may become that major donor that we have no idea about. So always be appreciative, always show stewardship, because you never quite know when that's going to click. When someone hears Lisa's story, and that really what sparks their interest in wanting to learn more about what's available. So thank you for all you're doing to say thank you to our donors. Thanks for providing them a great experience, and keep stewarding our donors. It's the most important thing we can do. You can never say thank you enough, and you can never show someone the impact of their giving enough. So Beth, at that point, I'll turn it back to you unless other people have other things they want to add about stewardship.
John, you did a great job, and thank you everyone for sharing all your ideas. That's fantastic. And Lisa, wish you a lot of success in your event as well, and glad to hear of the ways that we do recognize our donors. And hopefully these presentations tonight have fueled you a little bit, and you will share with others that you know your foundation story, and maybe even consider making additional donations yourself or asking somebody else to do it. And I love that story, Lisa. It takes an ask, and sometimes that's really exactly what it is that makes a difference for people. So with that, unless we have any questions, and the last I checked the Q&A box, we didn't have any in there.
We do have a couple of questions, Beth.
We do. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. First question is for Stephen. Stephen, you mentioned that you established a lifetime annuity when you became a member of the Arch Clump Society. This is actually a two-part question. Number one, was that made in a one-time contribution, or were you able to do that over a period of time? And number two, is there a minimum amount to establish that annuity?
I think the minimum's 10,000, but Lori or John can thumbs up. Okay. We did it in 3 tranches for tax reasons, and over a period of 4 years, something like that. What was the rest of the question?
It was just if you did it a one-time contribution or over a number of years, and
So
then what the minimum was.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Then I answered it.
Thank you.
Al,
Question.
Al,
Yeah.
can I just jump in one thing? Is
Sure.
is when you do a charitable gift annuity, you can't add money to it, right? So you have to, if you're like Stephen did over multiple years, and you're going to have multiple charitable gift annuities, because you can't add money to one once you've established it.
Right, so we have 3 charitable gift annuities, but administratively it's all one check every quarter. You know, it's not a check. It ends up in the bank account.
Okay.
Thank you for that clarification,
Okay.
Lori and Stephen.
Yeah. Thank you. Beth, question for you. You mentioned a Promise Club. What exactly is a Promise Club?
A Promise Club is where every member of the club has made a commitment to give $1,000, and you can either give it outright or you can do it as a bequest to the endowment.
Okay.
So it's $1,000 per member in a bequest or an outright gift.
Okay. And do you know, are there any in Zone 33 that you know of?
No,
No? Okay.
there are not. So we're looking for that first one. Somebody to take it back to their club if you've got that. And I remember years ago when we would have campaigns to get clubs with benefactors, and that's the $1,000. And a lot of members would do it and sign cards and pledging that $1,000. And those who did that, those clubs are prime targets for this because many of those are already at that level, and you have those folks still with that bequest.
Thank you, Beth.
You're welcome.
John, question for you. Who does the Rotary Foundation thank automatically? I mean, when a lot of people get thank yous from the Rotary Foundation, but who do they go to automatically?
It's a really good question. And, anytime a contribution is made to the foundation, there will be some sort of automatic thank you, but it's going to be that standard letter from Eric Schmelling. So any gift to the foundation will get that automatic response, no matter the amount. In terms of some of the other things I mentioned, depending on if someone has a named endowed fund outright, they will get some automatic stewardship for their area focus reports and things like that. So that's what's automatically built in. And then our philanthropic communications team that does some of that, they have some other creative automatic things that they'll send out to Paul Harris Society members, Rotary Direct donors throughout the year and things like that, that they're doing strategically. We have a whole communications calendar that we have that our team manages of what's going out. But that's kind of the automatic ones that I'm thinking of at this point. Lori, is there anything else that I'm missing in that?
Okay.
Thank you, John. Bernie, I think you had a question.
I do. I have a question for Lori. Lori, you went over some complicated stuff there. So if I'm a club foundation chair, and somebody comes up to me and says, "Hey, what do they do? Who do they refer? Do they refer this person to the DRFC? How does it get to somebody like you? How does that work?"
I mean, I would say their immediate contact would be their DRFC in the district. I think that was where they could start because that person might have the answer for them and might be able to point them in the direction of, either our webpage or to me. So always happy to do that. But I would say that's who I would point them to first, either their DRFC or if they have a district endowment major gifts chair. Sometimes districts have either a major donor chair or a lot of districts have different names for them, right? But those people might be able to help them as well. But yeah, the DRFC would be the number one person for me.
Okay. And when you talked about donor advised funds, so there's a lot of different ways. There's a lot of different organizations, or not organizations, but companies that order or bank, whatever, that set up donor advised funds. So Rotary has donor advised funds that we can do, correct? So
Correct.
they just have to make a decision. They can do the Rotary or they can do their whatever they choose to do, but it's the
Yes.
same. They're donor advised funds.
They're the same thing. Yep. The Rotary Foundation offers them. It's a $10,000 minimum to open them. We do have a portal for them to use that they can go to all the time. They can check their donor advised fund. They can add money to it. They can make the distributions they want to make. They can set up automatic distributions. So it has a lot of all the functions that you would see as in a commercial one, with Fidelity or Schwab or someone like that. And then we do have staff that can help if you have questions. We don't just kind of throw you out there. We've got staff if you've got issues or, whatever, we're here to help you with it.
You didn't touch on real estate kind of contribute? You didn't touch on
You
that?
can do real estate contributions. It's a little bit rarer and a more complicated gift, but you certainly can do. What I've dealt with most of the time is someone who has real estate that they want to give to the Rotary Foundation after they pass away. And so usually the simplest way to do that is to do a bequest with the Rotary Foundation for the market value of the property. And then in their estate plans, then they have their executor say, in their will, in their estate plans or trust documents say that this property will be sold and the proceeds from it go to the Rotary Foundation. And because that's the easiest way if you're going to do that type of a gift, because otherwise, if you're going to actually give the property to the Rotary Foundation, then there are a whole list of things that will have to be done prior, appraisals, things like that. And then it has to go to the trustees for approval. And so that if they're going to sell, if they want to sell it outright and, be recognized for the amount that it sells for. So they're different, depending on what their goal is of what they're doing with that property.
And this is just a curiosity. Last question for you. And I'm just curious. When you get into these complicated things, what is from beginning to end, what is the longest gift that you had to deal with from beginning to end? Just to give an idea, was it months? Was it
Oh,
6 months?
I've had one that's been 5 years. So it really just depends on the donor and where they're at. Those discussions start happening, things change, things might change in their family, things might, whatever reason it is, or financial things change, or, whatever the reason is. And so sometimes it just takes people a long time to make those decisions, especially the larger gifts and more complicated when you start to get into charitable remainder trusts and things like that. It does take longer, and it involves more people, right? It involves your financial planner, maybe it involves your CPA, it involves your family. We always want your family involved in any of these type of gifts. So then the wider the circle gets, then sometimes the more complicated it gets and the longer it takes.
Wow, 5 years, huh?
Yep. It's okay. We're on their time, right?
Well, if you were working on commission, that's a long time.
That is a long time, but thankfully we aren't. So it's all about what the donor wants to do and how we get that done for them.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. Any others, Al?
No, that's it, Beth. That's the end of the questions.
All right. Well, thank you all so very much for participating and being with us. Special thanks to Lori and John and Stephen. Welcome. Looking forward to our next meeting. Bernie, our next one is
Hang on.
okay,
April the 2nd.
April the 2nd,
No, April. Oh, geez, it's April 1st.
April Fool's Day,
Is that right?
Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, April 1st. Next one is April the 1st.
Okay.
Ooh, April Fool's Day. Yeah.
Glad
Okay. And I think it will be polio, I think. Pretty sure.
okay. Well, thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of the week.
Yep.